Okay, so here's a highly anticipated video. It is, of course, the comparison of the all-new 2020 iPad Air 4 versus the all-new Galaxy Tab S7. Let's get started. Okay, so design. Now, keep in mind that this is going to be very subjective. The Apple iPad Air 4 was redesigned to come close to the already known looks of the iPad Pro. You get a 10.9-inch display with some uniform bezel around the face and the selfie camera there, along with those rounded corners with sides that are now flat. You now have Touch ID embedded in the power button here when you're holding the tablet in portrait mode there. You have USB Type-C. You have 4 grills. It has kind of that quad speaker look, but it's not. It's actually just 2 speakers, but you get 4 grills. You get the volume rocker there, and then you get the pad for the Apple Pencil. Main camera on the back located at the top, and the smart connector for the Apple Magic Keyboard located at the bottom. You get a variety of colors with this baby right here. So overall, it's an aluminum build, very simple with straightforward looks and just some level of premium feel to it. And I really like the fact that it's very light. The Tab S7 follows a rectangular shape as well. Smooth finish on the back with like a polished metallic rim around those flat sides there. You also get fingerprint scanner embedded in the power button. You also get USB Type-C. Then you get the volume rocker. Now you do get an extra here that you don't have with the iPad, and that is the SD card slot. That is something that is major for a lot of people to be able to expand that memory. And of course you get the quad speaker, and these are actual quad speakers tuned by AKG. They sound amazing. The S Pen on the back here, but you can also attach it to the side, but that side magnet is weak. Main camera module there, 12.4-inch display, uniform bezels all around, also just like the iPad, but they are thinner, slightly thinner than the iPad. Then the selfie camera is in the middle of the side bezel there. Overall, it's a very solid tablet, very nice feel to it, very dense, well balanced. Now, if I need to give the verdict here for the design, it's gonna go to the Tab S7. Obviously, I mentioned that this was subjective, but anyways, this is a premium tablet. The way it's built, it's a lot more premium than the iPad that you have here, even just to the touch, to the feel, and just holding it, it's very dense. So this takes it for design for me. Oh, by the way, please do me a huge favor and take just 1 second to hit both the like and the subscribe button there. I truly appreciate your support here. It's a huge boost to the channel, and I really, really appreciate you pushing me to let out more content like this one. All right, so let's go ahead and talk specs. The iPad Air 4 with the all-new amazingly fast A14 Bionic chip, the best chip in iOS right now. This chipset literally turns this tablet into a productivity beast. It is crazy fast. It's just wicked fast. It's snappy. It cruises through all tasks like a breeze. And you get this combo with a 4 gigs of RAM. It just takes multitasking to the next level. Not a single stutter with this tablet, no crashes, no lag, none of that stuff, no freezes. It just flies through things. The Tab S7 also with the all-new super fast Snapdragon 865 Plus, also the best in its own platform, meaning the best in Android right now. This tablet already comes out of the house as a productivity tablet. That's how it was made, to be a productivity tablet. With a total of 6 gigs of RAM, so that's 2 more gigs compared to the iPad Air. Very fast, also very snappy, flies through things, through tasks. It just, anything you throw at it, it just handles it. Again, just like the iPad, no crashes, no stutter, no freezes, none of that crazy stuff. It is a beast. Now, as far as user experience, if you were to compare both, it's tough to see the difference because they're just, both are blazing fast, right? So they are so crazy fast that the only way to really rate the speed is to look at actual numbers, like benchmark numbers. And that will tell you how fast the A14 chip really is compared to the Snapdragon 865 of the Tab S7 here. Now, with these results here that you see, with these benchmarks, you can see that the Tab S7 is actually left behind by the iPad. The iPad is much faster. Again, even though you don't notice that difference when working with them side by side, when just looking at the specs, it's definitely faster. So if you were looking for something to do heavy 4K video editing type of thing, then the iPad Air would be for you. So as far as specs one for performance, specifically with speed, obviously the iPad takes it hands down. Now let's talk display. The Air 4 display is a liquid retina IPS display, as Apple would call it, with 1640 by 2360 with 264 ppi, and it has a refresh rate of 60 Hz. The Tab S7 also has an IPS display with 1600 by 2560 with 274 ppi, and this one has an adaptive refresh rate of 120 Hz. One thing to note is that the Tab S7 is highly reflective. It is literally like a mirror. The Air 4, on the other hand, isn't as reflective as you can see here. Overall, the iPad Air 4 display seems slightly dimmed when compared to the Tab S7. Images seems to pop a little bit more on the Tab S7, at least the way I see it. I'm sure you might get different results depending on the type of footage or images that you're looking at, but based off of what I've tested, I personally prefer the looks of the Tab S7. And there's no secret or no question that having a 120 Hz smooth or crazy smooth display is just going to make it unfair to the other one. So even though that 60 Hz is great on the iPad, for the display, I'm just going to go ahead and give it to the Tab S7. All right, so let's talk additional features now. The Air 4 has Touch ID, as I mentioned earlier. Now, the problem is that it won't really unlock the tablet unless it fully registers some type of pressure from your finger at the touch. But that doesn't change the fact that Touch ID is known to be super fast. The Galaxy Tab S7, on the other hand, it seems to quickly scan at the touch in order to unlock. So it doesn't necessarily need that much pressure in order to unlock. So in my testing, the Tab S7 unlocks the tablet every single time faster than the iPad Air. Additionally, you do get Face Unlock on the Tab S7, which is something that you don't have with the iPad. So you don't have Face ID with the iPad. So that's a plus for the Tab S7. Another feature here, which would be the quad speaker grills. As I mentioned, the iPad Air only has 2 stereo speakers versus 4 actual speakers on the Tab S7. And these things are tuned by AKG and they are nice. They are crisp, they are louder than this one, definitely better. The iPad Air with the 2 stereo speakers, definitely nowhere near the type of sound that the Tab S7 would produce. I already said it earlier also, the iPad Air has 4 gigs of RAM versus the Tab S7 with 6 gigs of RAM. The iPad Air base model comes with 64 gigs of non-expandable internal storage, which can be problematic if you don't have another way of saving your data. Let's say the cloud, for example. The Tab S7, on the other hand, it comes with 128 gigs of base storage, of internal storage, that you can actually expand at up to 1 terabyte using what I mentioned earlier, the micro SD card via that micro SD card slot. Another feature I want to bring up here is DeX. The Tab S7 has DeX, which immediately and seamlessly turns your tablet into a desktop without you doing much. And that is not available on the iPad, obviously. So for additional features, or you want to call it just extra, I would say the Tab S7 takes that category. But anyways, let's talk gaming. Obviously, tablets of this caliber are meant to handle a high level of gaming. All games that I play here were super smooth. In the case of Call of Duty, which is a game that I really like to test all of my tablets with, I noticed that I was able to obviously set everything up to the highest setting on the Galaxy Tab S7, but unfortunately, I'm not able to do the same with the iPad. I can only set it up on the highest setting on one, but not the highest on the next. Now, I know the specs on the iPad Air 4 are amazing, but for some reason, I personally prefer playing on the Galaxy Tab S7. It just seems smoother to me. Again, you have to remember that I'm not a hardcore gamer, but for gaming, despite the fact that I'm not a hardcore gamer, I would say that my experience was better here. I'm not sure if I'm assuming it's the fact that I can set everything to the highest here where I can't with the iPad, but it just seemed smoother here. It just seemed to play better here. I mean, it played well here also, but it just felt smoother with the Tab S7. Okay, so camera. The iPad Air has a 12 megapixel camera on the back and can shoot 4K at up to 60 FPS, but the Tab S7 has a main camera that shoots 4K at up to 30 FPS. But on the other hand, the front face camera on the iPad is an 8 megapixel that can do 1080p at 30 FPS, whereas the Tab S7 is a 7 megapixel that can do 1080p at 60 FPS. Now, based on those specs, I'll just go ahead and give it to the iPad Air. Now, I did take some pictures and I actually liked the ones taken by the iPad Air better than this. Again, that's also something that's kind of subjective, right? Let's talk battery. Now, I keep this part very short like I did camera. I will say that the batteries are kind of on par with each other. I need to do more testing so that I can give you my true take on which one is better. So for this category here, I'm just gonna say it's a draw. So the pencil. This second generation Apple Pencil has been improved and is actually a lot more comfortable compared to the first gen. It feels like a pencil. It seems to be a lot more optimized to perfectly sync with all or many of the iPad OS already well optimized apps, or the apps that actually use the Apple Pencil. It has great tracking, it's accurate. Now, my problem with this is just the fact that it taps every time you're writing on the screen. It can become annoying, that tap that every time you hit the screen to type or to write something, it just taps. It gets to me. Also, I need to add that it has a little bit more, a tiny bit more of a latency when compared to the Samsung S Pen. Now, talking of the Samsung S Pen, it has a very natural feel to the touch. Also feels just like a pencil. It's even softer to the touch than the Apple Pencil. It has better feedback, and just based off that feedback, it's better for writing compared to the Apple Pencil. Using an S Pen actually feels like you're writing on paper, whereas using the Apple Pencil, it just feels like you're writing on a very hard surface, specifically on glass. With the S Pen, you get that soft screen resistance and pressure level, which makes user experience even better. Additionally, it has a finer tip, which increases accuracy of movements and is pretty silent. Overall, it's going to come down to your personal preference and what you'll be using these pens for. If the apps that you'll be using for are more on the iOS ecosystem, then you should go with something that uses the Apple Pencil. However, if you're looking for something that's a little bit more comfortable, then you should go ahead and go with the S Pen. Now, I've been using the S Pen for a while, and I also have used both the first and the second generation of the Apple Pencil. Now, for my verdict for this category, I'm going to go ahead and give it to the S Pen. Now, there's so many other things that you can test and compare between these two tablets, but I'm going to go ahead and stop for now and just give you my take. So with that being said, here's one of the questions that I get a lot from students. They will always ask, should I go for the iPad Air 4 or for the Tab S7? You can't really go wrong for either one of these two. So it comes down to your preference and also how much money you want to spend, right? So if you want to go for something that's a little bit more value oriented, if you want the best bang for your buck, then you would go with the S Pen and the Tab S7. But if you have the money and you just like the style of the iPad, or let's say you already have an iPhone, you have an Apple Watch, or you already have something Apple related, and you kind of just want to sync into that, sync to the other devices and stay in that ecosystem, then obviously the iPad would be the way to go. So you can't really go, as a student, these two, like either one of these two will handle all of your tasks, unless of course you're like a student in some type of video related or video making or filmmaking, editing, and all that good stuff that you want to do on the iPad, you want to do on your tablet, then maybe you should really go for the iPad. Otherwise, for regular students, whether you're a med student, regular student, teacher, or whatever it is, either one of these two should be able to handle it. So it comes down to you deciding, do I need more internal storage? Do I need something that's going to be cheaper that gives me more? Or can I go with the iPad that's a lot faster and that can sync with my other devices, that has a lot more well-optimized apps to use that Apple Pencil? So it comes down to that. But anyways, I'm hoping that this was informative and that it helps your purchasing decision. If you have any additional questions about things that I didn't cover or that I didn't go far enough, I didn't go in depth enough, then go ahead and let me know in the comment section. Leave a comment, leave a question. I always get to my comment. You may know that already. And I'm gonna get to you. Even if I don't get to you today, I will get to you eventually. And I'll try to answer those questions. Anyways, thanks again for watching. As always, I enjoy doing this long video for you guys. This was highly requested. Don't forget to like, subscribe. I'm going to catch you in the comment section, as I mentioned earlier, and I'm also going to catch you in the next video. And up until then, stay safe out there.